The sun burned low over the horizon, bleeding gold across the dust-blown town of Dry Creek. The air shimmered with heat and tension, as if the ground itself knew trouble was coming. Folks had gathered along the wooden porches, whispering behind rough hands. When the sound of horses broke the uneasy silence, 3 outlaws rode in slow, their eyes sharp, their faces shaded by black hats that carried the smell of death and whiskey. At their center was a woman, dust on her clothes, fear in her eyes, and a torn bonnet in her trembling hands. She had been found walking along the trail from the broken stagecoach 2 miles east of town. They'd claimed her as their property, laughing, calling her spoils of the desert road. The sheriff had been gone 3 days, and no one dared step forward. No one, except the man they didn't see coming. Jace Holloway leaned against a post near the saloon, the brim of his hat casting a shadow over his steady blue eyes. He'd ridden into town that morning with no more than a canteen, a scar across his knuckle, and the quiet air of a man who'd lived too long on the edge. He'd been hunting peace, but peace never lasted in Dry Creek when he saw those outlaws drag the woman off her horse. Something old and fierce rose inside. Him, the part of him that didn't stand by when men did wrong. The biggest outlaw, a brute named Larkin, shoved her toward the water trough and sneered. "Ain't no law here says she ain't ours." The crowd shrank back, eyes turning away, hearts pounding, but hands too afraid to move. Then a low voice cut through the dry wind. "Let her go!" The crowd turned. Jace had stepped off the saloon porch, one hand resting near his gun, dust curling around his boots. The woman looked up at him, like she'd just seen dawn break after a long night. Larkin's laughter rolled through the street. "You talking to me, stranger?" Jace's eyes didn't waver. "Ain't nobody else here treating a lady wrong." The tension in the air thickened. Fingers twitched near holsters. Jace took another step forward. "She rides with me," he said, his voice calm but cold as steel. For a heartbeat, the whole town went silent. Even the horses stopped shifting. Then one of the outlaws sneered. Big words for a man alone. But Jace wasn't alone. Every good soul in town was silently behind him, too afraid to speak but praying he'd stand for them. And he did. The outlaw reached for his gun, but Jace was faster. The echo of his revolver cracked through the street, splitting the still air. The bullet struck the outlaw's hand, sending his pistol spinning into the dust. The other 2 hesitated, caught between fear and pride. "Next man who reaches for steel," Jace said quietly, "won't get a warning." The woman stumbled back, tears mixing with dust on her face. She whispered, "Why would you do this for me?" Jace holstered his weapon slowly. "Because a decent man don't let wolves claim what ain't theirs." His words carried weight more than a gun ever could. The remaining outlaws backed away, scowling, their courage dying fast. One spat into the dust. "This ain't over, cowboy." Jace's lips curled into a half-smile. "It is for today." They mounted up and rode out, the sound of hooves fading into the desert wind. When the danger passed, the townsfolk began to stir again, whispering, clapping him on the shoulder. The blacksmith muttered, "Didn't know if anyone'd ever stand up to Larkin's gang again." Jace didn't answer. His eyes were still on the woman. She was shaking, trying to find her words. I had nowhere to go," she said softly. "They burned the stage. I was headed to Silverton for work." Jace nodded slowly. "Then you'll ride with me till you get there." She hesitated. "Oh, you don't even know me." He looked out toward the open plains. "Don't need to. World's mean enough without leaving good folks behind." They left the town together that evening, the sun dipping low and the windmill creaking behind them. The horizon stretched wide and red, painting their silhouettes against the fading light. As they rode, she glanced at him, eyes filled with questions she didn't yet have the courage to ask. "You always ride alone?" she asked quietly. He smiled, a sad kind of smile. "Used to. Guess I don't anymore." The sound of their horses' hooves faded into the open prairie, leaving behind a town forever changed. Dry Creek would remember that day, the day a stranger reminded them that courage still had a place in a world gone hard. And as the dust settled, the legend began to spread. The cowboy who stood for a woman no one else would defend. Folks spoke his name with respect. and women whispered prayers for men like him to still walk the earth. Because in a world of greed, guns, and grit, it takes just one soul brave enough to draw a line between what's right and what's not. If you felt your heart beat faster through this story, if Jace's courage stirred something in you, then hit that subscribe button right now. More tales of love, loyalty, and the unbreakable spirit of the West are coming your way. Stay tuned, saddle up, and remember, some ride for gold, some ride for glory, but the best ones, they ride for what's right.